Welcome back to OpenLine, talking about boating and fishing season with TWRA. We have a group of people up here, Captain Dale Grandstaff, Officer Brad Bagwell, Officer Nathan Karch, up here answering your questions. And as we get into kind of boating safety and that kind of thing, how often are there fatalities or injuries? I think a lot of people they don't think how dangerous it can be. Do we have stats or an idea of what the numbers are? Who wants to take that?
Just kind of, from what I've seen, is people don't understand how dangerous water can be. They think they're on a boat, and it's fun. It is fun to go out on the lake, but it will kill you in a second, and people don't understand that. So being out there and being safe is a main priority, and I think we talked about it in the break. Brad was talking about renting a boat. If you rent a boat, you know, what do they need to look for?
Yeah, we was talking about it at the break, like on Sunday. If you go out to, like, say, Nashville Shores or any kind of rental boat, whether that be a kayak on the Harpeth, make sure before you leave that livery, is what we call it, that you have the proper safety equipment. Kayaks and canoes are required to have a wearable type life jacket for everybody on board. Also, if it's a rental boat, pontoon, sport boat, make sure before you leave the dock from a rental that you have your proper safety equipment on. Because if we contact you, the actual driver of the boat, the rental, is responsible for the safety equipment, just like if it was a private boat. So,
and that's kind of something we're seeing a lot more of, these boat rentals. Yes. And I mean, I can understand people, they rent the boat, and then they go out, and they may not have any idea where the life jackets are,
yes, or
the fire extinguisher.
Yes, and I know I've seen a lot more of on the river, especially here in Nashville and Cumberland, these stand-up paddle boards. Coast Guard rule, the regulations, they are a boat, so you have to have a life jacket on them as well. A lot of people that are on them wear the inflatable types, but you have to keep one on them as well. So,
how do you think our overall knowledge, the public's overall knowledge is? I mean, do you think they're, obviously your heavy-duty boaters, I mean, they probably have a good sense. They go out every year, but I mean, when you're pulling up on people, are you surprised how many people have no idea, or is that not the case? What's the overall knowledge?
Sometimes it's shocking, because if they grew up around it and they're used to a boat and going out on the lake with family, they understand for the most part what they need and what they're supposed to do. But if it's just a weekend family outing and they don't own a boat and never owned a boat and they go rent one, that's where it gets kind of dangerous. Even in the parking lots, you know, you can kind of tell who's just rented one or who's never backed one in the water, because it's pretty easy to tell when they're trying to back in the water. But I'm sure you probably saw, Nathan, on Percy Priest, when y'all checked people this weekend, what do you think would be an average of rental versus they own the boat?
Oh, especially on the holidays, it seems like everybody is just renting these boats.
Yeah.
When we made contact, I would probably just throw out a number. I would say half of them, you know, did not know what you were supposed to have, the safety equipment and everything. They knew that it was on board, that there was safety equipment, but they didn't know what it was and that they had to have it. And that is a problem.
And so, all right, so you encounter that, and you encountered it this weekend, which makes sense, huge holiday week. What do you do as the officer? What do you do? Do you write them a warning? Do you give them a citation? Do you just tell them, like, hey, this is what you need to do? Kind of how do you handle that?
It depends on the situation. Every situation is kind of different. But it is the boater's responsibility to make sure that safety equipment is in there, in that boat. The rental company should supply them with that firsthand, but that's not always the case, as we've been seeing. So, you know, sometimes citations are issued, and a lot of times warnings are issued. There are certain things that we can't issue warnings for, like portable flotation devices. We're very concerned about that, and safety is a major concern. And we've had so many deaths due to not wearing a life jacket that we enforce that very, very heavily. And we always write citations, hard copies, for not wearing a life jacket. So
yeah.
And talking about the rentals too, a lot of times if they leave the dock with 10, don't pick up anybody extra. A lot of times we'll see a lot of overloaded pontoon boats, and good rule of thumb, if over the sponson on the pontoon, if it's 3/4 or more, that boat's getting overloaded. And plus there is a capacity plate on them as well. And also stepping back from the big water open boats, the smaller kayak canoe rentals, a lot of things people need to keep in mind. I know last fall and even in springtime, just because it's a canoe rental on the smaller river, you need to be aware of the water conditions, especially like on the Harpeth or even Red River, what I'm familiar with. The conditions can be kind of hazardous to get out on there. I've gotten a few calls from people around Sycamore Creek that float through there as well, that the water is up and rolling, up and muddy and trashy, but like I said, it's not a good time sometimes if people drive down there and want to go. It's not good sometimes to actually get out safety-wise. To get out on that river, you might need to hold off for a day and let the river come back down to a slower greenish color before you get on high water and try to paddle up through there.
In your area, the area you oversee, there was a fatality just recently.
Yes.
And I believe that was around a dam.
Yes.
Is that the most dangerous area? I mean, what would you caution people as far as that goes?
A lot of people fish below our dams and from the bank and from a boat. A dam is one of the regulated spots where you have to, it's mandatory life jacket on everybody in the vessel. You need to be mindful, especially up through here on the Cheatham, Old Hickory, a lot of barge traffic, but when those barges come through, they have to purge the water out of the bilge. The horns and everything will go off. And also too, they're regulated on flowing water. It's very turbulent water up there, and you know, you can keep a good distance back from them, but don't get up in there close, because like I said, it can be hazardous, very hazardous water.
That's the mistake people make.
Yes.
They get too close.
Yes.
All right, let's go to Tony. Hello, Tony.
Yeah, how you doing? I got a very important question to ask. I'm a handicapped veteran, and I wonder why they deal with it. Keep going up on this here license for fishing. I can get out there and fish, but I can't get do no hunting due to my handicap. And I want to know, I know they're subsidized by the state and the federal government, so why they keep going up on the license? I can fish, but I can't hunt, so it shouldn't be put together. It should be split apart.
Okay. All right. What about that?
He should be able to, see, he's a disabled veteran. He should be able to get a license, a lifetime license that will never go up, and it's relatively cheap.
$10.
Yeah, it's not that expensive, and it's a lifetime license for him, so it'll never go up for him as a disabled veteran. There are percentages on it as far as disabled percentages,
Right.
but if his percentage falls within that range, he can get a lifetime license relatively cheap.
Yeah, that'd be a type 168.
Yeah.
That's what it needs to look like.
And like any business, I mean, we are a business. We have to, we're self-sustained, so we have to sell license to maintain our agency and its employees and to maintain the hunting and fishing opportunity that we have in the state. So we will increase the cost periodically because we have to, but people just need to understand that we don't get any type of sales tax revenue from the state. We are self-sufficient, and it is mainly through hunting and fishing license sales.
Yeah, when you say self-sufficient, is there a line item in the budget? Does money come from the state budget to your agency, or it's mainly
No.
just the?
It's just hunting and fishing. And we do get some federal government funding through different programs, but for the most part, our agency is funded through hunting and fishing license sales.
And there was some discussion about that. I think the last time you all on about raising the hunting license. Is the fishing license, has that gone up, or is that, did it go up at the same time?
It's a combo. It's a
Okay,
combination.
at the same time.
So you buy one, you get the other, but it's a combination hunting and fishing license.
So for somebody like Tony, the good thing to do there, he may not
Yes.
be aware. People may not be aware
You may not be aware of it.
that for veterans or disabled veterans, there are discounts, and certainly a lifetime
Yes.
license is,
Yes.
is
That will
good.
never go up for him.
How often do you go up on somebody and they just don't have a license? Does that happen a lot?
It's common, and that's why the officers are out checking. Yeah, just to make sure people have their license. It's relatively common across the state, but that's why officers get out and work, check people.
All right. All right. The whole notion of kayaks, that's another thing that's big. I'm seeing them all around my neighborhood. I feel like people go out and they buy a kayak, and then they just, they're free. They're out there on the water. But there's more to it than that, right? What would you tell people? They see their neighbor has a kayak, they want to go buy a kayak, and then they think they're just going to go out there. What would you say?
First of all,
You check several on proof.
I've checked many. A throwable Type 4 cushion, it will not work. It will not suffice as a life jacket. You have to have an actual life jacket on board.
On the kayak, you have to have a life jacket.
Yes.
Okay.
If you are 12 or under, you have to be wearing it. And like Brad said before, if you're below a dam, you have to have that life jacket on as well. But as long as it's on board, you have to have it. If you're going to be out after dark, you're actually allowed to be out after dark, but you have to have some type of signaling device. A flashlight will do, but you have to have some type of navigation lights like the other vessels on the reservoirs and rivers.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a break. If you're online, hold on. We'll get to your call next. If you want to call in, there's the number 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.